Hello and welcome everybody to this month's Facebook Live. I'm so excited to be here with Fiona who is a WordPress web designer. Instead of me introducing you, I'd love for you to let us know who you are and what you do.
Hi everyone, I'm Fiona. I'm a WordPress website designer. I'm a geek. I've been building and fixing websites since my business started in the year 2000 after we squashed the millennium bug. I handle all the technical stuff behind the scenes for my clients so that they can keep their focus day to day on serving their clients. They shouldn't have to stress about their websites. That's the stuff that makes my heart sing. So they delegate to me and keeps their focus on what they're best at.
Love that. And I tell you what, I couldn't be where I am without, you and web designers out there in the world, because it's definitely not my forte and it does not make my heart sing. So thank you for all that you do. I guess today you've agreed to speak with us to tell us a bit about your own Profit First story and when you came across it and what you do with it. And, it's been a while now. So how did you first come across Profit First?
Well, I can't recall quite where Mike and Profit First turned up in my world. I'm sure Amazon stalked me or something. It was probably a pixel. So at first I listened to the audio version of the book, like once solo by myself. And then once again with my local entrepreneurial business-minded book club. So I kind of dragged them along with me. By the second time round, I was ready to kind of start taking some action on that and go, okay, this fits with how my brain works. I'm logical, sequential. There's a system and a process to this. And I went, let's just do it. So I kind of kicked off things in the final quarter of 2017. So a while back now.
Nice.
Running towards the end of the financial year, and it's like, I'm not ready. And I want to start 2018 on better footing. So new financial year, new Profit First accountant.
Love it.
So I reached out
to
the guys.
Phil.
Yeah, 100%. I reached out to the guys in the US because Profit First was very new here in Australia at the time. And Phil was on board, and I went, sign me up. I need someone who's on the same wavelength as me, that believes in the philosophy and has all the technical stuff so that the ATO gets what they need when they need it at the right time and all that stuff. So I needed a pro behind the scenes. I'm the pro for my clients. He's my numbers person. So I then followed his Profit First implementation program. So that made it feel a little bit like bowling with bumpers. Like I couldn't get a gutter ball even if I tried. So
love it.
I did the things. He told me to do the things. I'd read the book, so they made sense. Being guided and having my hand held through that transition from I don't know what I'm doing, and I get a report and a bill from the accountants once a year to let's actually have a relationship and talk about this numbers stuff. So that's
a big change. I love that. And I think it's so common for business owners. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like you've got the accountant, you pay them at the end of the year, you hardly talk, you don't know what questions to ask. They're not exactly proactive with what it is that they're talking to you about. So even just having someone where you could have a conversation and do a framework that actually makes sense for your brain must have been an absolute game changer for you. So
it was.
That's awesome.
It's having the system in place and having it proven in America, Aussie-fied by Phil, and the conversion to our tax system, our billing, invoicing world system, so we don't have to wait 24 days for checks or whatever. We started that. We wanted to start with a fresh slate, so I got myself a fresh set of bank accounts, and then we started the real work. New bank accounts means all the magical auto debits, auto billing, subscription-y stuff started screaming at me, so I got to reassess everything I'd spent in the past 17 years of business. That was draining, but it was repetitive work that was mentally hard. Ticking a box and canceling things is simple enough, but it's making the decision for, do I need this thing? I use a little bit sometimes, but it's taking money every month. I didn't need as many of the things as I thought I did. So I had to reassess everything. every single transaction. If I wasn't using it daily, I cancelled it. If I wasn't getting clients from it, I stopped it. So extra
Awesome.
subscriptions,
Big
extra
change.
memberships, networking in 14 different communities. It wasn't happening. I thought it was. I thought throwing more spaghetti at the wall would help. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So my subscriptions and memberships had grown out of control. And those seemingly small bits were ruining my cash flow and profit margin and giving me far too much stress. So during those first few months, I went on an all-out cancelling spree. Everything went away.
I love that. Cancelling spree.
Yep.
It's true.
That's what it was. There was so many of them for tiny amounts here and there, and randomly you'd get those annual subscriptions you forgot about that'll pop
You're
up
like,
in
damn.
September 7, go ping. Ooh, credit card. Nope, not what I want. So turned all those off. I then went on another spree, an unsubscribe spree, to get all the sales pages and the sales pitches out of my inbox. Being in that online marketing digital space, everyone's got a product and everyone's got an upsell and another upsell and another upsell and a premium offer and a lifetime deal. I bought too many of them, so I had to turn that tap off.
Yeah.
So that was my focus probably for the first few months.
Yeah. Was it a big job, the unsubscribe? Because I look at my inbox and I do like a bit each day, but I'm like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to end? Did it take you long?
It was a diligent effort, let's put it that way. It was a fair few hours. Yeah, use Google for email, just search for unsubscribe, get a big long list and chip away and kill them. I deleted the archive of that newsletter when I unsubscribed from it, so I wasn't finding it later. But yeah, removing that eliminated the near of that whole FOMO thing of fear of missing out. There's a countdown timer and it's only good till Tuesday and it's early bird pricing and stuff. That wasn't fun. So I had to turn those off so I wasn't distracted by the bright and shiny new things. I then had to stop signing up for new stuff. So it's great to cancel the old stuff, but if you're signing up for new opt-ins and offers and free things, you get news. Yeah. So to avoid that spiral of nothingness, I made myself a maybe later list. So if I did come across something cool, it could just kind of hang out over there in limbo until I decided whether I wanted it or needed it. Because making a little bit of gap between seeing it and giving my credit card to it helped maintain the new system that I was building. Like you can
That's
be
something
told
that
to
Mike
do a thing,
also says too. That's it. He says you need to give it a day.
Yeah, one more day. It's like, well, I've waited a lot of days for some stuff. But at first, waiting one extra day and just putting it on that list was all I could manage. And then I go back to the list and go, maybe I do need it. Nope, one more day. So that's a learning curve. But a mindset.
Did you sign up to many?
Biggest challenge
on that maybe later list?
I think I did, but a considerable time down the track. So it wasn't, I added on Tuesday and sign up by Wednesday afternoon, like I used to do if I tried to put things off. But the things that stuck around, I go back and visit the list when I put the next thing on to go, that one's expired. The countdown timer stopped. Maybe I should remove that. So we tidied up that list and I got better at only putting important things on there. So the decision-making process improved over time. So
love that. What a mindset
one more day,
shift.
unsubscribe. Yeah. So those things were big. The cancelling spree was the most financially impactful at first. But yeah, it's that brain power. Use it for good.
It does require it. And I bet it was good to do it with someone by your side rather than you having to navigate that, decide to make the decision, then do it, and then feel drained by it, and then kind of go, I'll come back to it. And then you don't come back to it because it's hard sometimes.
Yeah. And that's probably the challenging part that I started straight away. I could see that it was working, but it felt like hard work. It was decision fatigue by going, I don't need that, cancel it. I don't want that, unsubscribe. Reviewing everything I was doing. And after 17 years, there was a lot of things in that everything pile. So I was undoing those 17 years of bad spending habits in that first 3 months. So that was quite intensive.
That is
but once
very
it became a
intensive.
habit,
Yeah, it's a short period of time though. 17 years of doing that to then in 3 months, like kind of nip that in the bud. Did it feel like, did you kind of have a sense of relief after the 3 months, or once you sort of reached the 3 month mark, you're kind of like, I'm getting somewhere.
Once I got to the 3 month mark, I think I'd stopped all the monthly subscriptions. There was bound to be some annual ones that snuck in later.
Sure.
But all the regular recurring things had been stopped. So that kind of calmed down the leaking taps. And I did feel better then.
Good.
Then we only had to tackle the annual things as they popped up. And that was much more sporadic and random. So
Awesome.
an intensive
That's
effort
good.
at first, and then the occasional tidy up.
That's it. What happened next for you?
Once it became a habit, it felt much easier, like so much easier. I was reconciling my bank accounts each morning. I was looking at my numbers. I'm doing my disbursements on a monthly cycle to suit my life. And the kind of nature of my work being projects. There's not daily transactions to reconcile. I created myself a little spreadsheet for the percentages so that I was now using that when I was pricing out projects.
Beautiful.
So revenue wasn't mine to spend. It was now just the profit piece and the owner's pay piece that was actually my money. So by the
that would have been a bit of a
relief.
relief rather than one bucket and kind of going, there's this money, I can spend it, but is it really mine? Was that kind of like a good shift
the mess
for you?
My previous accountants left me with because I didn't talk to them and I wasn't looking at the bucket, and it was a single bucket that was chaotic. So if it came in, it got spent. There was no separation for church and state. There wasn't a little bucket for the GST or the tax or any of that stuff.
So common. Yeah.
And like, if I've got another $27 in there, I'll sign up for that thing. I didn't think about whether I'd have that extra $27 next February. That wasn't part of my world. So it came in and it flew out just as quickly. But once I've got buckets and percentages, you could actually make those distinctions. And that gave me plenty of peace of mind.
What did it enable you to do?
In the first year, so by the end of 2018, I was in a dramatically different position financially. At the end of 2017, I was coming in to starting Profit First with a net profit margin of 57%. And I thought that was amazing. Well, project work, it's just me. I don't have materials or staff. 57% is great. But by the end of 2018, I'd done like a lot of incremental tiny steps that had allowed me to climb that up from 57 to 86%, which actually is awesome.
In a year, and 86%.
In a year.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I was quite proud of that part. But
definitely.
The best part about those percentages, and to really understand them, is in that first year, I took my foot off the accelerator a little bit and sales dipped maybe $4,000. But because of Profit First becoming a habit, I'd managed to keep and hold on to an extra $25,000 in profit.
Amazing. Wow. So even that small
I was excited about. Yep.
You had that money to be able to like not worry too much about it, but you'd recognized it. That's pretty amazing.
Yes. And it wasn't just that magical report money that your accountant tells you you've allegedly made profit, but you don't see. This was real cash money sitting in a bank account. So that was pretty cool.
Amazing.
So when I saw my reports from that year, I felt like I'd found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We've managed to stay around and keep that pot of gold at that level in the 5 years since. So
wow.
I'm very much happier about it.
Wow, 5 years. Because this is what people say this all the time, that yes, in the first year you notice a difference and it's amazing, but you can't sustain it. So you're living proof that 5 years down the track, we call BS on what those people are saying, and you can absolutely maintain it.
You can. And that's what I also thought about Profit First. Like, if you've got these rules and you're going to get locked into doing it this way and you can't do that, and it'll stifle growth, and there's nefarious rumors around that kind of stuff
Yep.
going out there. But I was spending randomly, selling randomly, having the structure, having that awareness, having the transparency in the numbers gives me the ability and the space. So there's margin in there now to do those riskier things without them actually being risky. So I can launch a new service or change my pricing model and cover the time between having that bright idea and having it get traction. Where
That's
before it would be skint, and that's not fun. That's
wow.
stressful.
And that's the thing, is that people always underestimate the time that it takes for that new action to really see that return to you.
Yeah.
And that's when that cash flow gets really tight and really uncomfortable, and they think, oh, it's not working, rather than giving it the time. So the fact that you've completely removed that risk for yourself to go, that's fine, I've got time, it'll get traction, and then it works. So do you make decisions a lot easier now?
I do. So my money has a job to do now. So like,
Love it.
when I sell a project for this much money, only this much is mine. I can spend this much to deliver the project, this much to get help with the project if I need team members or copywriters and graphic designers and other experts in their bits to do their part.
Love it.
It's much easier. There's less thinking now, like decision fatigue in the first cancellation stage, but there's less thinking required, or less brain intensive thinking required now.
I love that. That is so good. And so, like, how long do you spend now on things, looking at your monies? Because before you didn't have the habit of even looking at it, and now I'm assuming you're in there most days. But how much time? Because a lot of people, again, a misconception that you're going to be spending hours doing all the transfers and looking at your money and trying to work it out, and which from my tone you can see that I don't agree with that. But like, what's your experience been?
I think I probably spend around 4 minutes a day reconciling project payments, just to make sure proposals that have gone out, the payments come in, and then we can get back to work. So that's a daily thing, just to keep an eye on things. Profit first calculations and disbursements calculations. I got a spreadsheet for that. Of course I do. I tally out what I spend for the month, type it in the box. It tells me all the other numbers, and inside 20 minutes for the month, I'm done with the putting the money into places.
Beautiful. That's amazing. What
and
else
then another
is
10 minutes for like payroll, and that's about it.
Okay, so really all up then, we're looking at not even an hour in a month.
Yeah, probably. Unless I've got a lot of tiny little projects, but yeah, they're more clients, so I'm happy about that.
That's it. I love that. The celebration. It's like, yes, an extra 4 minutes moving stuff around, which is great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I check in with my percentages at least quarterly. I still have my hand being held by Phil. He's my numbers dude. So we check in with our quarterly sessions. So nothing's ever left to chance, and nothing is ever kind of a surprise, good or bad, at the end of the year.
So good. And that's the thing. And that's the other thing that people say is, oh, well, once you've got it implemented, you don't need help. And from what you've explained, yes, there's intensive help initially, but then there is that person who you can do a review with, tweak things, make sure you don't have those surprises, know what you're up for at any time, ask questions as they come up. Because one of the things that I noticed when I was implementing Profit First is that it's not just the money that changes. And what I mean by that is, as the money comes in, it made me think about, like, are my terms and conditions the way I need it to be, you know, with refund policies and that sort of thing? And is my Profit First implementation aligned with that? What are other considerations that if I'd not had this in place, I wouldn't have even thought of? Have you had a similar experience in that respect?
There's been a lot of those other flow-on effects from knowing percentages, knowing if I get a client for $10,000, this much goes here and here and here and here, and I keep this bit. So then I kind of reverse engineered that to price the next project. So if I want to keep this, I need to do the math backwards and charge this to make that math work. So that's been a new strategy for pricing things, rather than 20 odd years ago when I started, we just pluck a price out of the air and that's what I charge.
Yep. We've all been
we've
there.
got much more methodical around and what we do and why we charge what we charge, and it's allowed me to say no to clients that wouldn't have fit. Allowed me to add urgent, must do now kind of pricing for the projects that have very short timelines. Allowed me to add recurring and ongoing support services because I've got the capacity to consistently pay people to help out when I need them.
Beautiful.
So it's changed what I can offer. It's changed the direction and the clientele that I work with, and just how much time and brain power I'm able to give to clients and projects because I'm not stressed and distracted by all the money stuff.
Oh, I love that. No, and that's it. And I think we talk a lot about the money flow and the buckets and that sort of thing, but there's not enough discussion around all of the other things and how it can really shape your pricing. It can shape how you turn up. It can shape, all different things, and even just thought bubbles that otherwise wouldn't come up. So that's amazing. I do have one more question for you, and that is, what's the biggest change that you have seen for yourself personally out of doing this? And I've put you on the spot.
Personal introspective thought, insert bubble here. I think having the peace of mind, knowing that when I get a new client or start a new project, that I'm moving forward, that projects, assuming minimize scope creep, that every new project is profitable. So that gives me the peace of mind to relax and take the time to deliver the project the way I want it delivered, and to work with the clients in a much more collaborative way, rather than being so desperate for the sale because I need to pay a bill that's due.
Yeah, so we're there. It happens.
I'm a much happier human now.
Yay! Which is, I think, the biggest win, because happiness it comes from all different things, and I'm so glad to hear that. For those that may want to see a little bit more as to what it is that you do, how can they find you? What's the best place?
You can search for Fiona Fell on Google. I'm not the ceramic artist or the potato farmer. I'm the website designer. There's three of us fighting for top spot for my name, or our name. So you'll find me there. Hang out with me on LinkedIn. And I'm more than happy to chat about website stuff, but also about Profit First and just how much of a difference it's made in my business life, and how that's flown on as a self-employed business owner into my personal life.
I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you for agreeing to, be open and honest and tell us all the bits and pieces that have been happening for you, and that you're 5 years down the track and all of the changes that you've made. So thank you again. And if anyone has any comments, leave them in the chat. We'll come back and be able to answer them. And if there's anything specific that you're wanting to ask Fiona, we can absolutely get in contact with Fiona. So thank you again, Fiona. Really appreciate it. And we hope this has helped those out there considering Profit First.
Awesome. Brilliant.